Throughout our day, we are faced with many choices. Luckily for us, we can choose for ourselves in the world we live in. The world's constantly changing though, and new principles arise, and we can even choose what we self-identify as gender, or we can go public with our sexual orientation. We can even choose if we want the COVID vaccine or not, or what religion we want. Having that basic human right of freedom of choice is an important thing. But laws in Idaho are slowly suffocating that choice for women. The laws against abortion. I'm Trevin James, and I'm going to talk to you guys about abortion. And I've done extensive research on abortion, laws on abortion, and stories that impact people, and why women deserve a choice over their own body. David O. McKay says in a quote while talking about our personal agency that freedom of choice is more to be treasured than any possession earth can give. Listen carefully as I express the importance further of freedom of pro-choice. First off, let's talk about Planned Parenthood, because that is one of the biggest choices they have when it comes to abortion. Planned Parenthood says that it provided over 327,166 patients with abortions last year. This helped women, if they wanted to keep the pregnancy, terminate it, whether they wanted kids or not. It also helped medical issues that they could overcome. It is important that the women have the ability to choose for themselves. Let's jump in how Planned Parenthood goes with abortion and why it's important. Planned Parenthood is defined as a trusted healthcare provider, an informed educator, a passionate advocate, a global partner helping similar organizations around the world. Planned Parenthood delivers vital reproductive health care, sex education, and information to millions of people worldwide. This definition is found on the Planned Parenthood website. Another article found on the Planned Parenthood website is titled Swana. Swana was a 16-year-old girl when her mother died of cancer. She wrote this article about her experience with Planned Parenthood. At age 17, she became pregnant by her boyfriend. She was not emotionally stable or financially ready to have a baby. She kind of confused what to do since she was her own guardian at that time. She said, "I went to Planned Parenthood and the staff confirmed my pregnancy. They took care of me. They were extremely compassionate and informative." She goes on saying the importance that it was for her to make the decision herself, as she decided not to have the child and abort the pregnancy. Looking back now, after 6 years, she was able to attend high school, finish college, do a nursing program, get married, and start her life. 6 years later, she's ready to have a family. She's emotionally stable, she's financially stable, and our life came together. She was super happy that she had the chance and the opportunity to make the decision for herself. Not everyone is lucky as her. Laws are constantly changing in Idaho and are restricting abortions. If laws keep restricting our ability to choose for ourselves, we lose that personal freedom. Women lose those rights. In the article, State Facts About Abortion in Idaho, it says that the parent of a minor must consent before an abortion is provided. Having your parents know about your life is ideal. It's a great thing to always have their wisdom, their care when you make a choice. But not all teenagers have great parents. Not all of them can help them. Not all of them care enough to help them. On the ACLU website article, Laws Restricting Teenagers' Access to Abortion states, one study showed that 22% of teens who did not tell a parent about their abortion decision feared that if they told their parents, they'd be kicked out of the house. More than 8% feared that they'd be physically abused because their parents had beaten them before. Swana was lucky that she had people in her life at Planned Parenthood to help her make her decision. But teenagers struggle throughout the United States yearly on these decisions or restrictions. There was a story of a young rape victim, and for the story's benefit, I'm going to change the names. There was this young girl named Sarah. She was 13 years old, and she does what a 13-year-old does: go to school, participates in activities after school, does sports, hangs out with friends, go to parties. On one late night, she was hanging out with her close friends and at a party, and boys were there, and they had a good night. An older boy offered to drive her home. She went home with him, and later that night, she was raped. She felt violated and embarrassed that she was hurt. She felt lonely and feeling that her parents would just blame her, that it was her fault and what she was wearing that night. She decided not to say anything about it because she was scared. She was young and didn't know what to do. So she avoided it. She thought, oh, well, it'll just go away. It was my fault anyways. After 2 months have passed, she realized she missed her period. She keeps avoiding it. And then finally she decided it's time. She went to the store and got a pregnancy test. Later that day, she found out she was pregnant. She was terrified. How was she going to hide a pregnancy from her parents, from her friends? What is she going to do? She's still suffering from PTSD from the rape. Now she has this awful evidence going inside of her. Weeks started to pass, and she started to show more and more. Finally, clothing weren't hiding in her belly. She had to tell her parents. Luckily for her, her parents cared and took her to the doctors and helped her with her decision. They took her to Planned Parenthood, and she was scared and didn't know what to do. Giving birth in general is a painful feat to accomplish. It's miraculous, the women that have to go through it. Giving birth for a child, having a child give birth at the age and weight Sarah was, is almost fatal. She shouldn't have to do it. As she was deciding what to do with the pregnancy, she came to a decision. It took months to come to a decision. And when she finally decided she wanted to terminate the pregnancy, the Idaho laws restricted her. She was too far along, and the state said no. She had to keep the baby. The baby will be born months later, and she'll know that evidence from the rape will be walking the earth for the rest of her life. That night, that boy took her confidence, her self-esteem, and her virtue. That pregnancy took her childhood, and the law took her choice. Sarah must not live in a world where the laws or teenagers shouldn't live in a world where the parents dictate whether they have their own choice with their own body. Not everyone agrees with abortions, but everyone should agree with pro-choice, that we should have the freedom to choose for ourselves, for our own bodies. Christianity has some religious branches that oppose the practice of abortion. In Idaho, we have the freedom to choose to practice whatever religion we would like. We can choose to be any dominions of Christianity or even atheists. It's up to us to choose. We have that choice. According to Pew Research Center, religion in the public life states that 67% of adults in Idaho are Christian. Ironically, Christians believe in loving thy neighbor and that God gives us the greatest gift of all, free agency. We believe to separate religion and state when it comes to making our laws, but I'm afraid sometimes those lines get crossed. The government or religion should not prohibit the freedom of women to make their own choices over their own bodies. Women should be able to be free to decide if they want an abortion, if they want to go to Planned Parenthood, if they want to give their baby up for adoption, or if they want to start a family. Ultimately, it's their decision, not ours, not the state's, not the religions. In this speech, we have discussed the positives of Planned Parenthood, the positives of abortion, and the different situations it occurs. We talked about the problems with restrictive laws and why we should change them. Now, many women and girls and kids are struggling because of the laws restricting abortions. So stand with me. Let's give them their voice back by first giving them their choice back. You never know if you come face to face with someone that needs an abortion or someone that gets accidentally pregnant and they want to make that a choice for themselves. Your loved one or you might be in that position. Let's help the future people with that decision by voting on less restrictive laws, by giving that voice back, by donating to facilities like Planned Parenthood to help these young women make the right decision for them. But let's give them their choice back first. Thank you. Today my audience was Emily Nelson. She is my videographer. Emily, introduce yourself.